We will declare your wonders. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. You may be seated in the presence of God. Hallelujah. How y'all doing?
Blessed and highly favored.
Blessed and highly favored. I like that, co-pastor. Amen, amen, amen. Shout out to Youth Sunday. I'm so excited.
Woo! Yeah.
So excited to be here. Shout out to everything that's been happening in the house. Shout out to young people stepping up. Big shout out to Jaleese for organizing Youth Sunday once again and stepping out in boldness and faith to execute a beautiful service. We thank God for our leaders, Pastor Thomas and co-pastor Teresa, evangelists, all the ministers in their respective places. We thank God for you being here this morning, and we thank God for His presence meeting us here. I'm not going to be before you long. I just wanted to share a few things. I know we always preface that. Everyone prefaces that. Everyone says that we're not going to be here long. Maybe like an hour later. I said, my God. I hope not to be in front of you long, but I'm going to let God say what He has to say and then slip out of the way. Amen. And I feel like we've already had like 3 services. Amen. The Spirit of God is just in this place heavy. But I want to talk today about the posture of promise. And it's a timely word, and it's a word that God's been dealing with me for a while now. It's probably a month. It's funny because Jaleese probably asked me to speak on Youth Sunday, and God had been dealing with me about the posture of promise. When she asked me, that was like a month out. And so I was like, man, like that's actually timely. An opportunity arose, and God actually gave me something. It's a word that's been, it's not one of those words. Sometimes you get a word from God, and it's one of those where, you know, it's kind of like a quick nugget, something that you could teach at a Bible study. This was one of those where you wake up at 5 a.m. and you write something down. You wake up again, like the next day at 5 a.m. you write something down. And then it was one of those words that even up until last night, I had written out my notes, and I was like, all right, God, I think I'm hearing you right. I think I got everything. And then last night, I woke up at 5 a.m. and wrote a whole slew of things down that God kind of confirmed some of the things that He was explaining and really crystallized some of the things that are in this passage. So I'm really excited to share what God has shared with me and what God has opened my eyes. I want to start and position this thing by saying one statement, and that is that we are all seeking. And it's something that I feel like I am aware of, and it's the human condition. But sometimes we're not always aware of the significance of that in the sense of our spiritual walk with God. And so the reality is that it is human nature to seek, to explore. It is in human nature to pursue. And what is the thing that we are seeking most as humans in life? And I thought about that. God challenged me with it. It was like, what are we seeking the most in life? What is it, if we had to crystallize, if we had to put one thing on the whiteboard that we are seeking in life, and God says the one thing, He showed with me, the one thing that we are seeking the most as humans in life is fulfillment. The thing that we are seeking in life is fulfillment, a life fulfilled, a sense of belonging, a sense of fulfillment. No matter what, however you slice it in life, the thing that we seek the most as humans is fulfillment. We seek fulfillment. And in fact, this is what's so powerful, that most of the decisions that we make in life are centered around the pursuit of fulfillment. In some way or another, the decisions that we make are all centered around the pursuit of fulfillment. And it was funny because I was reading something, and it was like God led me there. It was a clip from Neil Patel in Entrepreneur Magazine. I want to read it to you. And he talked about the idea of the psychological model of how humans behave. And he said this. He said, in most psychological models, humans are believed to act upon the pleasure principle. The pleasure principle is basically the driving force that compels human beings to gratify their needs, wants, and urges. These needs, wants, and urges can be as basic as the need to breathe, eat, or drink, but they can be as complex as the need for an iPhone 6 or 8, 7, 8, or some other cool new product. When we don't get fulfillment, our psychological response is anxiety or tension. And so if you think about that, and this was kind of, I mean, it's gonna get deeper than this. Just we're just getting into the shallow end right now. So I need you to bear with me and rock with me for a while. But it was amazing to think, because if you look at it, our need for fulfillment as humans powers the entire world. The entire world is built off the idea that humans need to be fulfilled, to gain a sense of fulfillment. Look at social media. It gives you a false sense of self-importance and relevancy to an artificial community around you. Yes, some of them might be people that you know in real life, but the idea is that I need to be seen. My thoughts have more importance because I share them with this community that likes them and comments on them and gives my thoughts that I have every day more relevance to a broader group. I work in marketing every day. The copy and the things that we do are designed to compel people to action, a call to action. It's the simplest part of marketing. It's designed, the words, the images, the things that you see when you consume products and TV are designed to instill in you a want or a desire to feel some part of you that says, I need what you're selling. And it's not that I don't have ways of communication. I need the 8-pixel camera. I need to be able to, switch between these apps even faster. Half of us don't even know what like gigahertz or megahertz would even mean as far as performance, but the fact is they'll fill the screen up with all these gadgets. We have no idea what they're talking about. We don't even know if it actually impacts performance, but it instills in you something that says, I need that to feel. I mean, how many of us, when we get something new, you might get a new jacket, you might get a new phone, you might get a new car. It makes you feel good. You feel cool. You feel like maybe you've arrived someplace. And what happens, God began to show me, is that a lot of times we consider these things or these external influences destinations. Because I feel if I get this thing, me getting this creates a sense of fulfillment. And so until the next thing comes and I look after something else will make me feel. So it's destinations of fulfillment. I want to get into this because I want to talk about the posture of promise. And the thing is, as humans, our striving for fulfillment becomes what? Our purpose. Our striving for fulfillment becomes our purpose. We need to be fulfilled. We have a sense of, I need to be fulfilled. So I respond and make decisions in my everyday life to seek out things that will give me a sense of satiation, to satiate that need for fulfillment. And so my life then becomes a series of decisions based off of seeking fulfillment, and that becomes my purpose. And if my life is basically a series of decisions that are seeking fulfillment has now become my purpose. And so rock with me for a second, because I was like, my goodness, yes. But rock with me because God revealed something very, very interesting. So rock with me for a second. I looked at my own life. I want to be successful. I want to make a lot of money. I want to make people proud of me because it makes me feel good about myself. A sense of fulfillment. I want to get married. I want to have a wife to love because I feel like that will fulfill some part of me. This idea of experiencing love in a marriage. I want to have kids to love, to see them grow up, because I feel and I envision for myself that as a destination for me that will offer me and create some sense of fulfillment. I don't want, this is a big one for me, I don't want to die prematurely because I don't want to leave this earth living a life that I feel was unfulfilled. And this was very intimate for me because God was showing me that in our lives we envision destinations of fulfillment. When you ask a little kid what he wants to be when they grow up, they might tell you an astronaut, they might tell you a police officer, they might tell you an engineer. They envision it in your mind. We have the ability of imagination, so we envision these things for ourselves, and we say, when I get there, I know I will feel a sense of accomplishment, of fulfillment. So I set out in my head, this is what I'm going to pursue. Higher education does the same thing. It says, if you basically accumulate lots of knowledge, even without application, your life will be better. I'm not saying college is bad. College is great. College is great. But the idea that the world is built around satiating humans' need for fulfillment in every capacity. In every capacity. And God was showing me that there's things in your own life that you have envisioned these destinations of fulfillment for yourself. And it's good. It's fine. We all do it. But God was showing me that you envision for yourself destinations of fulfillment. And this is where he challenged me. and I'll read this verbatim. It says, an element of the human condition is an innate desire to seek gratification because we were originally created to find fulfillment in relationship with God. But the issue is that we view our relationship with God through a lens as an extension of our pursuit for fulfillment. And so rock with me here for a second, because this is what God was saying. Let me break it down in case you missed it. He was saying that you were created to worship. You were created to be in relationship with me, right? You were created to have the source of the fulfillment, the everlasting fulfillment is in me. But the reality is that all of us, from birth, from young people, say, I have destinations that I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to be successful, God. I'm trying to get the car, God. I'm trying to get married, God. I'm trying. So we have destinations of fulfillment. And so what happens is we treat God as an extension of that pursuit. So y'all not hearing me. Y'all not really rocking with me. You're not really rocking with me. So what happens is, you're not rocking. Because what happens is, we look at our relationship with God through a lens that says, God, I'm praying and I'm believing for the destination of my fulfillment. I'm praying for a wife because that's the destination of my fulfillment. I'm praying for the car. I'm praying for these things because I'm looking at them as destinations of fulfillment. And God, you're like Siri or Alexa. You're just trying to navigate me to get to the destinations of fulfillment. I need a GPS to help me reach preset destinations. When God is showing me that, he says, well, no, hold on a second. See, the source of perpetual fulfillment is in me. But the reality is that we don't want to forfeit the destinations of fulfillment that we've set for ourselves. And so what we try to do is we try to rock with God as far as we see progress towards the destinations of fulfillment. So what happens when you get into a season where you don't see yourself progressing towards the destinations of fulfillment? That's when there's a problem, because I can rock with God as far as I can see my bank account increasing. I can rock with God as long as I see. All right. I think y'all starting to get it. Let's get into some scripture really quick. Genesis 3. We're gonna rock with this thing because it's multi-layered, and I want to make sure we get every piece of the cake this morning. Genesis 3, 2 through 6. Say amen when you get there. We're just gonna run through this really quick. That's right, Pastor. You rock with me? Genesis 3, chapter 3, verse 2 through 6. And I'll read it because I have it up here. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat, the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the tree of the trees of the garden, but of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Now I want you to step back a second. Everyone has read the fall, the great sin of eating from the tree. But look through from the lens now that we now have, from this need for fulfillment. Here you have Adam and Eve in paradise, in the Garden of Eden. And this is what's interesting, right? You see how, y'all not going to catch this, but you see how in the very beginning, Adam and Eve were in a place that God created specifically for them, for relationship. It was an intimate space. It was a space created, and Pastor preaches about this, by the four flowing rivers. Eden was created by the four flowing rivers, a place of prosperity. The rivers symbolize prosperity. It was a place that God created in the midst of prosperity, a place that suggests to me that in relationship with God, this is a place of prosperity. No matter what the proximity is around the terrain around me, that the place that God created for relationship is a place that I cannot die. It is the place that I cannot die because I'm in proximity with the source. So you see, Satan didn't come with saying, yo, I got Eden 2 over here. I have, he came with what? He instilled in Eve a sense of what would happen if I ate it, because I feel like I need to experience that. He instilled in her this desire, this longing that says, I might be better off if I eat the tree than in relationship with God that I have now, because I wonder what it would be like to experience that. So she envisioned for herself a destination of fulfillment that says, if I eat of the tree, I might be coming to this place where I can see a little better than what the place that God's getting. So you're not seeing me. So what happened is Eve, in relationship with God from the beginning, said, I see a destination for myself outside of this place right here. And so I'm going to take the chance and jump to the destination, and it became what we know as the Great Fall. And so I want you to rock with me still. I want you to rock with me still, because what I was questioning God was, I was like, man, so we see from the very beginning this sense of need for fulfillment, seeing for ourselves these destinations of fulfillment. And so I was wondering, I said, well, all right, God, well, I get that. I get that. So what is, I mean, I was like, I kind of get it though. Like, it seems odd, but I was like, I kind of get it from Eve's perspective, because you have that innate desire to know, to explore, to seek. And the reality is that sometimes, even in the place with God, you can be misled to think that there are destinations of fulfillment that are better than the relationship that you have right now. And so what Eve was willing to do, and what a lot of us are willing to do, is to sacrifice relationship for a destination of fulfillment from an artificial or a superficial and external sense. That's what Eve was willing to do. She said, I know what God has instructed and I know the consequences, but I'm going to take the chance because I must go after that sense of fulfillment that I think will make me whole. And so the reality is that a relationship with God is the ultimate fulfillment in our life. And it shows us even as early as the Garden of Eden. He says, for those in Christ, fulfillment lies within us. And what is the fulfillment of our lives? It is God's love, simply that. If you look in John 14:57, he says, if you love me, keep my commands. And I will ask the Father, he will give you another advocate to help you and to be with you forever, the Spirit of truth. The world cannot accept him because it neither sees him nor knows him, but you know him, for he lives what? With you. And he will be in you. A fulfillment that we get is from a relationship with God. The ultimate fulfillment for those that believe is God's love. The fulfillment that we really seek is divine love. The pursuit of our purpose is truly at its core a quest for love. If we were really honest, the core tenet of our pursuit for purpose is truly a quest for love. And some of us don't understand because we don't see God's love as a destination and the ultimate destination of fulfillment. We see it only and merely as a receptacle for forgiveness and continuing mercy and blessing as we strive towards these external destinations for fulfillment. But this is not even the crux of what God was showing me. So I want y'all to keep rocking with me, because it seems like it's good, but it gets a lot better. I promise you. Let's jump to Matthew 26:36, and this is really the crux of what God was showing me. Chapter 26 of Matthew, verse 36 through 46. This is a powerful, powerful passage. This is Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. And it says, then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane. And he said to them, sit here while I go over there and pray. He took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me. Going a little farther, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, my Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will. Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. Couldn't you men keep watch with me for 1 hour, he asked Peter. Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. He went away a second time and prayed, my Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done. Then he When he came back, he again found them sleeping because their eyes were heavy. So he left them and went away once more and prayed the third time, saying the same thing. Then he returned to the disciples and said to them, are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour has come and the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer. I want to center this really quick before we dive into the verse that we just read, is that oftentimes we look at God, like I said, through our relationship with God through a lens as an extension of our pursuit for destinations of fulfillment. So within that, we look at the promises of God. We look at the promises of God as these catalysts on our journey to these destinations of fulfillment. We believe God, we press in, we pray, we fast, but we keep in the forefront, we keep this destination of fulfillment. And so we serve God as a conduit to get to the blessing that we have envisioned. And of course, we believe God for it, because we quote scripture and we say that if I ask in your name that you will grant it to me. But we don't see God in our relationship with God as a sense of fulfillment. We don't see it. Because this is what interesting. This is what happened in the life of Jesus. Jesus saw relationship as fulfillment. So purpose became easy, because his purpose was to love God, and the love of God that he had was displayed in the many miracles and how he walked the earth in his ministry. But his only sense of fulfillment was relationship with the Father at all times. It didn't matter the trajectory of the destinations that he went. And Paul understood this too. That's why I said I count it all joy, because Paul understood that relationship is my fulfillment. The purpose of my ministry at its very core, and it says in 2 Corinthians 13, you can speak in tongues, you can give all your money to the poor, but without love, it means nothing. And so relationship, and God is love. So relationship with God is the sense of fulfillment. And Jesus understood this, so it didn't. And so this is why Gethsemane is so powerful, and this is why I'm going to break down what God shared with me. Jesus understood in Gethsemane that his purpose on earth was to minister and to ultimately be crucified on the earth, because that was God's plan. And God's plan to sacrifice his only begotten Son was the evidence of his love, his overwhelming love for mankind. So Jesus has walked in purpose and a sense of fulfillment because he had a relationship with God, and God's love was manifested through the sacrificial lamb of Jesus. So watch this. Gethsemane was a place of pressing. Gethsemane means olive press. Gethsemane was a place of pressing. Jesus was not troubled by the cross. Golgotha did not trouble Jesus, because he was always going to be the destination. It was always going to be the destination for the manifestation of promise. Golgotha was always the place. Jesus knew at the end of his ministry, crucifixion was always the destination. So when you look at Gethsemane through the lens of us, we say, gosh, Jesus was really broken down by the fact that he was going to be crucified. He was struggling with his imminent death. Jesus was not bothered by Golgotha. Jesus was not bothered by the cross. He was bothered by the separation that was required in order to complete the ministry. Separation from God was what troubled Jesus at Gethsemane. Some of us are looking at it through a lens of, well, gosh, Jesus was probably scared to death that he was going to die in a few hours, wasn't he? Gethsemane was the place of pressing, because Jesus quivered for a little bit, knowing that imagine what it feels like to be separated even just for a moment from a relationship that has given me all my fulfillment in this ministry. And so Jesus went one time and 2 times and 3 times to the disciples and caught them sleeping. And see, the promise of mankind, the promise of God was that mankind would be redeemed unto the Father through Jesus' death. And so I want you to catch this. And I believe that Jesus' soul was vexed because of the cognizance that he would be separated from God on this earth, so that the manifestation of God's promise would be fulfilled. It would require separation. And this is what I want you to catch. This is what God hit me with in the chest. He said the manifestation of promise is the evidence of love, not the destination of fulfillment. Some of y'all didn't catch. I'll say it again. The manifestation of promise is the evidence of love, not the destination of fulfillment. So when I'm walking in purpose and promises are being manifested in my life, it's not the destination of my fulfillment, because promise is supposed to happen when I'm walking in purpose. Promise is supposed to happen when I have relationship. So I'm not hopping around for destinations of fulfillment based off of a promise. I'm walking in purpose. And so when I see things manifest in my life, I don't get too excited, because I understand it's supposed to happen. When Jesus walked on this earth and created miracles and signs and wonders, he didn't marvel at what he was doing. He didn't get alarmed by the amount of his celebrity. He wasn't tempted. Like I said, we're going to rock with me for a little bit, because the manifestation of promise is the evidence of love. So when he was at Gethsemane, when he was pressed in a place of pressing, when he quivered and thought of the idea of being separated from God, he understood that the manifestation of promise is the evidence of love. And so in order for God's love to be manifested, and in order for the prophecy to be fulfilled, it required that Jesus hit a destination. But that wasn't the fulfillment. That wasn't his sense of fulfillment. He didn't quiver at Golgotha because he was already fulfilled from relationship. And so it did not matter the destination at the end, because his sense of fulfillment came from relationship. And so he understood that the manifestation of promise required death. But it was ultimately the evidence of God's love for mankind. So you're not understanding me. You're not understanding me. Because we look at the manifestation of promise for sense of fulfillment. We look at things that we're asking God for because we want a sense of fulfillment. We look at external things because we are striving for fulfillment. We're looking at things for fulfillment, and we use relationship to accelerate our trajectory for these destinations of fulfillment that we have set for ourselves. But Jesus understood, because if it was us in Gethsemane, if it was us being pressed in Gethsemane, you would think, my God, well, I've saved a lot of people. I've done a lot of miracles. People know my name. It might be time to go get that mega church. It might be time to create. I'm telling you, because you understand that Jesus was not, the manifestation of promise that happened in his ministry was of no concern to Jesus, because it was supposed to happen. He was walking in relationship, and so he wasn't concerned about the external. That's why the devil couldn't tempt Jesus in the desert. Because the devil showed him all the things of the world, and he said, I can make you a great name if you would just bow down and worship me. But Jesus understood that the manifestation of promise was the evidence of love. And so it did not matter the that's why he wasn't fazed, because it wasn't a thing of destination of fulfillment. I don't need millions of people to look at me and praise me. I don't need millions of people to look at me and praise me, because I get a sense of fulfillment already. So I'm not concerned about the destination, even until death. Because the destination did not matter, because I'm already fulfilled. And so I'm walking in purpose, and manifestation of promise is going to happen regardless, because I am not shifting my eyes from my sense of fulfillment. So Jesus walked in purpose his entire life. Miracles and wonders were performed. Many were saved. Prophecy manifested right before everybody's eyes. But the hours leading up to the crucifixion, Jesus found himself in a place of pressing. But the only thing that mattered was not the physical destination, but purpose. And he understood that the manifestation of God's promises are the evidence of love. When you have children and they ask you for things, if we have, I don't think Lily and Micah ever wonder if they're going to have breakfast. The manifestation of promise is the evidence of love. Things happen. They're children. They walk in a children's purpose. Jess and Josh love them. Things manifest. Things manifest in their life that they don't ever question or ask for. They simply walk in a child's purpose. Mommy and daddy pick me up. Mommy and daddy feed me. I walk in purpose because of why my relationship with mommy and daddy. Mommy and daddy love me. The evidence of love is the manifestation. The manifestation of promise is the evidence of love. Relationship. God's love for us manifests things in our life. God has not forgotten about you in a place of pressing. But a place of pressing tests your love for God. A place of pressing will test your love for God. God's love has never wavered or never quivered. But a place of pressing will test your love for God. And what happens oftentimes for us in places of pressing invite what? Well, we read that. Anxiety. Places of pressing create fear. And what happens when we get afraid? We start looking for alternatives because we are concerned about destinations of fulfillment. So when the bank account is looking low, I start scheming on how I can get a little extra money. When things aren't looking right at the house, I start wondering, well, Sandy at the job, we start looking for destinations of fulfillment because we lack fulfillment, or so we seem we lack fulfillment. So places of pressing test our love for God, because if we truly understood God's love for us, we would understand that I am in a place of Eden. I am in the garden. It doesn't matter what the terrain looks like around me because I'm in a place that is meant to prosper. In the place of pressing. And so catch this, because it's not done. How many times did Jesus... Hold on a second. Rock with me. Rock with me. Matthew 26:36. Pastor, how many times did Jesus go back and forth? How many times? 3 is the number of what? 3 is the number of completion. Catch this. Jesus got in a posture. Understanding promise. The posture of promise. Jesus understood that relationship was all that mattered. And so in order for the manifestation of promise to be the evidence of love, he had to continue in purpose. And he said, I love you enough, God, to go to the cross because I understand that the promise of my purpose is to show your overwhelming love for mankind. So he assumed a posture, understanding that promise comes from relationship. Manifestation of promise is evidence of God's love. And so his posture was that where he was intimate. And so he went back one time.
Y'all still sleeping. All right.
Got into the posture. Got up a second time.
Y'all still sleeping.
Got in the posture a third time. And he said, God, your will be done. He said, let's go. So the place of pressing. Catch this now. The place of pressing. Because he had relationship. He had to go down a couple of times to make sure it was right with the spirit, because he said, God, I surrender, your will be done and not mine. I understand that relationship is all that matters. So even if it requires separation from you to carry out the promise, I understand my purpose, and it doesn't matter because resurrection is on the horizon. I understand. So let me catch this really quick. The place of pressing. The place of pressing, because Jesus tapped in, because Jesus assumed the posture. He understood the posture of promise. The place of pressing became the place of completion. I want you to catch that. The place of pressing became the place of completion. The place of pressing became the place of completion because he assumed the posture and he quivered. He assumed it a second time and he quivered. He assumed it a third time. He said, let's go. Place of pressing. The place of pressing became the place of completion. It wasn't Golgotha that was the place of completion. It was Gethsemane, because he said, I'm going to activate this thing. He said, God, I'm going to quiver for a second because I'm just imagining what it would be not to have your presence with me even for a moment. I don't know about that, God. Could it be any other way? He got up a second time. God, I'm really struggling with that. I don't know. But he got up a third time. He said, let's go. Let's ride. I understand because I'm walking in relationship. I understand. So the place of pressing becomes the place of completion.
My God. What a word. Jesus.
And the faith was activated and a manifestation of promise went forth as God has orchestrated. But for some of us, let me break it down. For some of us, we get in the posture of promise. And we get in, we dig in, and we get up. But this is what happens with us. We get up, and those external influences around us tempt us to say, well, have you considered doing it this way? Have you considered doing it that way? Have you considered doing it this way? Because we don't want to forfeit the destination of fulfillment. Truly we don't. Truly we don't. So things come around us and say, well, you hang out over here. You hang out over here with me for a second. Because you make me feel good. And you make me feel a sense of fulfillment. And I feel like I'm kind of walking in purpose a little bit because I'm rocking with you. And you understand the plight I'm going through. And you understand, the place of pressing that I was in. But now this kind of feels comfortable. This feels all right. This feels okay. This isn't the place of pressing. This is the place of artificial satiation of fulfillment. This kind of feels all right. Because I don't have to really be in the place of pressing anymore. You're kind of biding my time and I enjoy that. So what happens with us is that we forfeit the place of pressing for the place of comfort. And so what happens is the promise, the posture of promise is over here. You see what happened? Jesus said the place of pressing. He showed us the place of pressing became the place of completion. The problem is, if I'm in the place of comfort and I'm in the place that I want to be, I'm not in the place of completion. I'm not in the place of completion because some of us don't want to believe that the place of pressing is the place of completion. We think that we'll press in, but I'm going to get comfortable for a second and I can be completed over here. I can find the place of completion. God said sometimes the place of pressing is the place of completion for the manifestation of promise.
Jesus.
Break it on down to it.
All right, but the devil tries to use fear to deceive us into forfeiting this place. Because he understands if I get you out of this place, that you'll forfeit the promise. And you'll forfeit the promise because the place of pressing sometimes is the place of completion. So what we really need to do is I need to dig in here a little longer. I need to stick in here a little longer. And when you understand that relationship is fulfillment, you'll stay there as long as you need to. You'll stay in the place of pressing as long as you need to until it's complete. And then things are activated and that manifestation of promise is made clear. Y'all rocking with me? Y'all rocking with me? Y'all rocking with me? I'm going to start rapping up in a second. So you don't rock. Rocking with me. The devil tries to use fear to have us forfeit, but we don't see it as that. We don't see it as that because why? And this is what's so powerful is that sometimes we don't realize. And this is why it's so easy for the devil to get us off course. It's not these grandiose ideas or concepts. The devil never says, cheat on your spouse. The devil never says that. The devil never says, cheat on your spouse. The devil never says, cheat on your spouse. What he creates in you a sense of someone else will fulfill the pieces of you that your spouse doesn't really understand. So he creates in you a desire to explore that thing, to seek that thing. Not that fast, I'm getting too comfortable. To seek that thing. But it happens in every capacity of our life. Take shortcuts. Take shortcuts. It's all right. It's all right.
Keep going.
It's all right. Take shortcuts. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No more shortcuts.
The end goal is the same. It's all right. It's all right. It's okay. It's okay to lie. It's all right. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And it's funny because we think that the destinations of fulfillment are what really is going to make our life rich. We think if we accumulate these destinations of fulfillment, we'll look back on our life and say we've lived a complete and full life. We think the accumulation of money, a big bustling family, all these things are great. But they don't create in us what we seek, because the only thing that really can satiate is what we were designed to do originally, was to worship and to love God. And so the problem with it is that the enemy understands that each of us is wired differently. And each of us, if we were honest with ourselves, we've envisioned for ourselves a destination of fulfillment. You know why there's strife sometimes in interpersonal relationships? It's because sometimes people have envisioned for themselves destinations of fulfillment. And when you look for that in someone else, someone that's supposed to come beside you, whether a friend or a spouse, you say, man, I thought we were going to be here by this time. Or I thought we were going to have this by this time. Or I looked at you and I really thought, man, there was a lot of promise in you and that we were going to be here, but that kind of stalled out. And now we're here. Because I've envisioned a destination of fulfillment for myself. I envisioned myself living a life that felt like this, where you responded to me like this, where things were like this. Because this is how I envision it. This is my destination of fulfillment. I think that space is where I deserve to be. It is. I envision that's where I deserve to be. And it's the truth. But the reality is that it doesn't matter. Because no destination that we envision for ourselves will complete us.
That's right.
It won't. It won't complete us. And if we understood that the posture of promise is relationship and connection, then the manifestation of promise would happen as God ordained it to happen. And you wouldn't have to feel like you're empty sometimes. You wouldn't have to feel like I'm ebbing and flowing. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. It's because the reality is that if you don't want to admit it, but it's there, that you are chasing a destination of fulfillment and hoping God will put you in there in the timeline that you project for yourself. And if it doesn't happen, then I'm really questioning how committed I want to be to this relationship with you, God, because I'm really chasing that destination of fulfillment. And if I sacrifice anything, I'll sacrifice you before I ever sacrifice that destination of fulfillment. And some of us don't want to be that real. But I'm going to wrap up in a second. I want to end on this. When I was in middle school, my mom used to pick me up from school. I was out of zone. I went to Southwest, but every day she'd pick me up around the same time. I think school got out at 4:15. Mom would be there like 4:20, 4:25. It was really, we lived right there. And so one time, she was like super late, like really late. And it was like 15 minutes had gone by, no sign of my mom. 20 minutes had gone by, pretty much most of the pickup loop is empty. 30 minutes go by, crossing guard is like getting in his car. 45 minutes go by, teachers are leaving. And so, I'm just sitting here waiting to get picked up, just sitting, just watching, and, some of the teachers would be like, oh, your mom still hasn't come? I had a cell phone then. Your mom still hasn't come? And I'm like, no, she'll be here. And she's like, you sure? She forgot, we get out at 4:15. And I was like, no, she picks me up every day, I know. And then they're like, well, you can wait in my classroom. And then the attendant says, well, do you need to call her? I don't even think we had cell phones, I don't know. And I was like, no, she'll be here. And then, lady offered, one of the moms picking up their kids, honey, do you need a ride home? I can take you home. I was like, nah, my mom will be here. And I kept saying that my mom will be here. And, the school was emptying out. Teachers were going home. The parking lot was empty. And then, all of a sudden, like an hour and 15 minutes later, here comes my mom's car around the curve, the pickup curve. And I was happy to see her. And I thought about that because God brought that back to my remembrance. And He looked at it in the context of what I just talked about, what we just shared about, was that the loop was the place. My mom, every day, I'm going to pick you up after school. I understood that because I had a relationship. So I understood that every day, my mom is going to come through this loop and pick me up. And so, sure, my mom was late, but I was like, 15 minutes, that's understandable. 20 minutes, okay. 30 minutes. 30 minutes, it starts to get embarrassing because everybody's emptying out and you're just the only kid there. And it gets appeasing to think, in this moment of uncomfort, of course, I'll accept a ride home. Or of course, I can wait in the AC in your classroom, of course. But the reality was that I understood that if my mom said something, that it was good. And so it didn't matter that she was 15 minutes late. It didn't matter that she was 30 minutes late. It didn't matter that she was 45 minutes. Relationship says that my mom was coming. Relationship told me that my mom was coming. So it didn't matter that she was an hour and 15 minutes late, because I was at the place. I was at the place to see. If I was in the classroom, I wouldn't have known that she had come. If I had been around with somebody else, I wouldn't have been there for her to get me. If I had gone in the back of the school, I wouldn't have seen her coming. So you have to understand, and God showed me this, even as a child, you understood that relationship was a sense of fulfillment, because the destination that I sought was home.
Yeah, go ahead.
And the promise was she was going to get me after school. And so it didn't matter if it was 15, 30, 45 an hour. I would have waited there all day, because I understood that my mom was coming. And relationship told me that to stay here and wait, to stay in the place of pressing, to stay even though people are looking at you funny and your mom probably forgot about you, to stay in the place that, well, she probably isn't coming. Maybe she got tied up. Maybe she got in an accident. I understood that it doesn't matter what it looks like to everyone else. This is my promise, and I'm going to stand in the place. I'm going to assume the posture of promise. I'm going to wait on the curb even though I look like an idiot. Even though I've been staring at the same spot for an hour. Even though I know that I know that I know that I know. Because when the promise comes, I'm in the place of completion. And the manifestation of that promise is going to carry me to the destination. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. That's it. I'm done. Hallelujah. Praise God. My pastor, come up here. If he has any words, thank God. Y'all continue to pray for me and pray my strength in the Lord. And we bless you and praise you. And we thank you for this word. Hallelujah. Thank you for your abiding presence in Jesus' name.
Blood of Jesus on it, in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Praise God. Hallelujah.